Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Johnny TCG video. I'm Johnny TCG. I'm excited to see you here today. And today we're talking about one of the spiciest green-purple limb deck lists I've ever seen. Not only is it a spicy list, it is a proven successful list. This list went 15-0 at the recent UK regionals. I'll throw the winner's Twitter post on screen. Boom, check it out. Follow them, like it. They got a lot of interesting things to say about this deck, and I can't wait to talk about it and test it out as well. I've been a big Lim enjoyer, but this deck completely changes the way Lim is played, at least in my eyes. I know I'm not the only one that when they were playing Lim really focused on just ramping and getting to the big bodies, your 9 cost Zoro, your 9 cost Shanks, maybe a 10 cost Luffy or a 10 cost Kaido and Linlin. But this deck and this approach is completely different. You're just going to be trying to spam the board with as many bodies as possible, going for a wider approach like a Blue Doflamingo. And I mean, the results speak for themselves. This player went 15-0 at a UK regional, and I think this deck is really going to make a splash in the meta now. On today's agenda, we're going to go over the deck list, take a look at all the cards. Then, of course, we've got a custom card giveaway. You're going to want to stick around for that. And then we're going to take this deck to the sim, see how it does, and then talk about it afterwards. I've been having a ton of fun with this deck, and I think you will too. So with that being said, let's take a look at this deck list. For those that don't know, Lim is a 5,000 power, 4 life green purple leader with the Odyssey typing. Her first ability is that all of your character cards come into play as rested, which is really weird and makes things very awkward. Her second ability is that activate main once per turn. You may rest 3 of your Don, set a Don from your Don deck as rested, then play out a cost 5 or less Odyssey character from your hand to the field. This allows you to cheat out bodies early. This deck really prefers to be on the odd curve just because on turn 3 or turn 2, 3 Don turn, you're able to ramp a Don to get you to 4 Don and then also play out a 5 cost body. Some of these 5 cost bodies in this deck are really strong, and so this can be really hard for your opponent to deal with sometimes. And yeah, I think this is a really strong deck, and I think you'll see why soon enough. Starting off, we have 4 of the 6 cost 7,000 power Sakazukis from OP09. This is a great Odyssey card. 6 cost means it can't be cheated out with your leader ability, but it still does have its use on play. If you have 2 or more rested characters, you get to KO one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. With you ramping, you're going to be able to play out this card quicker than normal, and I think it's a really good option. Developing a 6 cost 7,000 power body is a decent stat line, and yeah, I love this card in this deck. Next, we have the notorious 5 cost 6,000 power Sabo, 1k of counter, which is very nice. I say the notorious because this is probably one of the most popular Odyssey cards at the moment. He's got the ability of when attacking once per turn. I wish it wasn't once per turn. You may draw 1 card if you have 3 or more rested characters, which you usually do. Hopefully you do. That's the point of Lim, is to have a lot of rested characters on the board so that you can constantly get these abilities off. Getting that 1 card draw every single turn that you're able to swing with a Sabo is absolutely huge. It's a great way to refill your hand. It's a great way to find new cards to play. And yeah, what else can I say about this card? It's just a great addition to any Lim deck. Next, we've got 4 of the 5 cost 6,000 power Don Quixote Doflamingos. 1k of counter too, which is nice. It's a blocker. 5/6 blocker is always a good stat line, but then it also has this really strong ability. At the end of your turn, if you have 2 or more rested characters, you can set this character as active. So in the ideal situation, you're going to be swinging with this character every single turn, and then at the end of your turn, setting him back up as active to be a valid blocker. That's pretty solid to me, folks. How can you hate that? Pretty standard in most Lim decks is this 3 cost 5,000 power Searcher from OP09. It is simply a look at the top 5 for an Odyssey card other than Lim and then add it to your hand. This is a great way to gain more Odyssey cards to cheat out with your leader ability. Then she's got the secondary ability of if you have 3 or more rested characters on the field, you may set her as active at the end of your turn. This is going to be something that you see in a lot of these cards, or a lot of the strategy with this deck is all about restanding your cards either at the end of the turn or with your effects. So even though they do come on the field as rested, they are very strong, and they do have some ways of restanding themselves, which can of course help you keep them on the board longer. Next, we have the 5 cost 6,000 power Edward Newgate. This is an absolute beast into low to the ground aggressive decks like Zoro or Bello Betty. He's got the on play of if you have 2 or more rested characters, you get to rest one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. Then you get to KO one of their rested characters with the cost of 3 or less. So you're not only able to rest a 5 cost, you're able to also KO a rested 3 cost. You can combine these and maybe just rest a 3 cost instead and then pop it, or you can rest a 5 cost, pop a 3 cost, and then swing into the 5 cost. It's whatever you want. This card is amazing in this deck. I absolutely love it as a 4 of. Moving on, we've got 4 of the 5 cost 6,000 power Enels with 1k counter. One thing I appreciate about this deck is that it's not too complicated with the ratios. You find the good cards, you do 4 each, and then you go on your way. It's a very consistent deck with all these Odyssey cards. You are almost always going to have something to cheat out with your leader ability. It's almost impossible to whiff with the limb search ability too, so you're going to be in a good spot most of the time. This Enels on play is that if you have 2 or more rested characters, you get to draw 3 trash 2. Another great way to get card advantage, cycle your hand, looking for the cards you need in certain situations. No bad things to say about this Enel right here. Next, we've got the 5 cost 6,000 power Dracule Mihawk 1k counter as well. This Dracule Mihawk is a very nice addition in the OPO 10 set for OPO 9 limb. On play, if you have 2 or more rested characters, you get to set up to 1 of your 5 cost Odyssey characters as active. This is a great way to push for lethal. Swing big with one of your 5 cost characters, then play out the Dracule Mihawk, restand that 5 cost character as active, swing again. That's an amazing play and can really just win you the game. Next, we have more of a utility card. We've got the 2 cost 2,000 power 2k counter Nami from OP10. Now this is mostly going to be used as a 2k counter, but there are definitely going to be situations in which it can absolutely go crazy. On play, if you have 2 or more rested characters, you prevent one of your opponent's rested Don from becoming active during their next refresh phase. This is amazing into the Shanks matchup. This is amazing into the Blackbeard matchup. Well, the Blackbeard matchup can be annoying because they can negate your on-play effects, but if for some reason they don't and they're at 10 Don, this is the perfect time to play down a Nami. Some decks need to be absolutely perfect with their curves, and so this Nami can really screw them up. I really like this as a 4 of. At the end of the day, it can be used as a 2k too. Next, we have one of the strongest, believe it or not, cards in this entire deck. It's a 1 cost 0,000 power 1k counter limb card. Now, she has the ability of once per turn. If this character were to be removed from the field by one of your opponent's effects, you may instead rest it, which is huge. This card is going to be annoying for your opponent to remove off the field, and that is good because of her other ability, which is at the end of your turn, you may set one of your Odyssey characters as active. It can be this limb, it could be another one of your characters. I mean, it's a great way to set maybe a Sabo or an Edward Newgate as active, just to make sure that they survive the next turn. You're often going to be mulliganing for it just because seeing this on turn 1 is very important to the game plan. Next, we have 4 of the 4 cost 5,000 power 2k counter audio promos. Now, this is a promo card that is very expensive at the moment, and I definitely don't think you need it. There are other Odyssey 2Ks you can choose instead of this audio if you don't want to spend the big bucks. For example, the Portgas D-Ace one is the perfect replacement. This one does have a nice ability, which is if you have 2 or more rested Odyssey characters, this character does gain 1,000 power, which is very strong, and it is a good card, but you could definitely live without it if you're not trying to pay $40 per promo card. Next is the true spice of this deck. 1 cost 2,000 power 2k counter Kuruzomi Orochi. This is absolutely insane spice that I never ever considered to run in this deck, but I'll tell you why in a moment. Is on play is that you get to reveal 1 artificial devil fruit smile from your deck and then shuffle your deck. Now, this allows you to do a couple of things. One, it allows you to find this card, Artificial Devil Fruit Smile, which is not relevant to this deck at all, but if you find it in your deck, that is another card you can just use as cycle for your Enel. So basically, you're replacing this 2k counter that you played from your hand. It is also a 2k counter at the end of the day. The other great thing about this, or I say great, but for me it's not really that great, is technically you can learn about what's in your life based on searching your deck for this 2 cost Artificial Devil Fruit Smile. I am definitely not the caliber of player that can just look at my deck real quick, think about all the cards and what cards are missing, and then know what's in my life. But some players, they've got the sauce. They're able to just look through their deck real quick, do the process of elimination, and go, okay, my life is probably a Newgate and an L, blah, 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 blah. Kudos to them. If you're running that strategy, good for you. I like it just because it's a 2k counter. You can get a card back from your hand that you can then cycle with Enel, so it's not really that big of a deal. And it is a great turn 1 play, especially if you don't have the limb card. If you do have the limb card, then you're probably going to prefer playing the limb, but if you're on 2 Don perhaps, then maybe you play both of them. Absolute kudos to the creator of this deck for such a spicy, ingenious pick. Next, we've got the Uso Hachi from the starter deck 18 Purple Luffy. 3 cost 3,000 power, mainly used as a 2k and to go for game with. If you have 8 His on play is if you have 8 or more Don on the field, you get to rest one of your opponent's cost 5 or less characters. This is great to rest a blocker, go for game. What more is there to explain about that? I already talked about the artificial devil fruit smile. We literally cannot use its ability, so you will never ever use its ability, but it is just a card that you find with the Orochi and then cycle with an L. That's about it. If you don't see it in your deck, then you know, hey, one of my life cards is this, and that could be helpful. And then last but certainly not least, we have Top Knot, the 2-cost event from OP03. This is a Don -2. You may return up to one of your opponent's cost 4 or less characters back to the bottom of their deck. This is pretty strong. This is mostly going to be used again as a late game finisher along with the Usohachi, trying to get rid of your opponent's board and then just going for game. Nothing too crazy to say about this. It's just a nice one of spicy tech. It really was so much fun trying out a limb deck with a new style of play. I was always trying to ramp up to the big bodies, but this deck says no, don't do that. Just play out a bunch of smaller bodies. And yeah, I've got to say this works really well. I've been having a ton of fun with it on the sim, and I really think you should try it out as well. Before we get into the gameplay, of course, we have a giveaway for you. If you're new to the channel, we do a giveaway in just about every single video. Today, we're going to do a funny giveaway. I don't have a custom limb card for you, but I do have a custom Don card for you. This is going to be the custom moneybob Don. Editor, throw the moneybob on screen. Who doesn't love that? If you want to win this, all you have to do is 1, leave a like, and 2, leave a comment. It's as simple as that. If this video gets 25 likes in the first 24 hours, I will randomly choose a US-based commenter, send it to you for completely free. That's it. No questions asked. Shipping covered by me. All you have to do, 1, leave a like, and 2, leave a comment. It's as simple as that. And if you want to help the channel grow, if you want to stay up to date with all of the recent uploads, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button down below. Hit it. Hit that subscribe button. We're almost at 2,000 subscribers. That would be absolute crazy to hit in the next week. We're really trying to hit 2,000 subscribers by 420. So if you like the content, if you want to support the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button. That's enough of me yapping for now. Editor, roll the gameplay. Our first matchup of the day is going to be against a Blackbeard. I think this should be a decent matchup for us. Maybe not amazing because they will be able to cancel a lot of our on-play effects that we do love, but we are able to cheat out bodies, of course, with our leader ability, and I think that is just strong enough to maybe keep us in this game. We're going to keep this hand. We're on the even curve, which Lim definitely prefers to go first, but I think we're still going to be alright. They are going to play down the Luffy turn 1. We've got a nice turn 1 play ourselves. We're going to have a 1-cost Lim and then the 1-cost Orochi. We could look at our full deck and try to figure out what cards are in our life, but that's not really my style. I'm just going to take that event card that we're able to search for with the Orochi. That will definitely just be used as a target to cycle with our NL. Passing it back to them, they're going to have 3 Don to work with. For 2 Don, they're going to throw down the Doc Q. This will be able to pop probably my Orochi, or they can also target the Lim. The Lim can't be KO'd via effects, or it can technically, but you get to rest it if it does happen once. So for the first time, we are going to be able to rest it, but then they're just going to be able to swing into her with their leader, which we have to let go. Then they'll pass it back to us, 4 Don for us to work with. I am thinking about possibly cheating out the 5-cost Doflamingo blocker. I think that's definitely the move here. I'll start by swinging 2,000 with Orochi into their Doc Q. Unfortunately, they are going to be able to draw a card when the Doc Q gets KO'd, but I have to get that off the board. Now 6,000 into the Lafitte. They will of course let that go. Then we can use leader ability, ramp a Don, and then play out that Doflamingo. The Doflamingo sets himself up as active, which is really strong. 5 Don for them to work with. I'm not sure if they're going to have any way to remove this Doflamingo on 5 Don, which will be great for us. They're going to throw down the stage for 1 cost and probably use it this turn, I'd imagine. 4 Don left for them still to work with. They are going to pitch the Jesus Burgess off of stage and then draw the Lafitte. They'll play the Lafitte straight to the board, do a search with it, and get the OP09 event Black Hole. 2 Don left for them still to work with. They're going to throw them both on their leader and swing 7,000 into the Orochi. They're going to trash a Stronger from their hand to prevent my on-play abilities, which is a real bummer. We're going to start our turn by swinging 5,000 into their Lafitte. No way they keep us alive. That's going to die. We'll then give a Don to our Doflamingo, swing 7,000 into their life. I imagine they'll take this, and they will. We've got 6 Dons still to work with. We're going to cheat out a Dracule Mihawk, even though we can't use his on-play, which is a real bummer. At least we're getting out a 5-cost, 6,000 power character. That would be annoying for them to deal with. They're going to be at at 7 Don this turn. They'll start by using stage, trashing a Jesus Burgess, and then drawing the 5-cost Kuzan. For 4 Don, they will play out the Shiryu from OP10. We love that Shiryu from OP10. Really a strong card. They'll be able to use his ability and pop our limb, which feels bad, but could be worse. 3 Don for them still to work with. I hope they don't just put their Don on their leader, but that's what they're going to do. And then they will swing into the Dracula Mihawk. Unfortunately, I don't have the counter to keep it alive. I really wish I could, but alas, gotta let that one go too. They'll pass it back to us, and we're going to be in a decent spot. Unfortunately, they will use their leader ability again, preventing any on-play effects, which is a bummer. I would love to be searching with our 3-cost limbs right now. I'm thinking I just have to put pressure on their life. Can't really do much else. I'll just swing with Doflamingo, swing with our leader, play out the 3-cost limb, and then the and then with our remaining Don, we'll just play out some bodies. It does feel a little bit scary because they are rested coming onto the field. They could swing into the Sakazuki here, which would feel really bad because then we're not really getting a ton of value from them. They're going to start their turn using stage, trashing a Kuzan and drawing the 10-drop Teach. Then they're going to play a 5-cost Kuzan out from their hand and then bring back a Van Augur from their trash. That 5-cost Kuzan really is amazing. Not only does it allow them to draw an extra card, it allows them to cheat a body out from the trash. With the Van Augur, they're going to rest it using his ability to give -3 to my limb. They'll probably get rid of it, and they will with the Doc Q popping the limb. At least we still have our Sakazuki and our Doflamingo. We only have 2k counter in hand, which is a little bit scary, and only 3 cards because we haven't been able to use our limbs on plays to draw more cards. But it is what it is. They've gone pretty wide this turn. They probably won't even swing with leader, or maybe they will, I guess. We'll block this with our Doflamingo for free. And then the question is, will they swing with the Shiryu? They will. 5,000 into life. We could counter, but I'd rather take just to get some more cards in our hand. That Nami would be really strong if we could use her on-play ability, but alas, we cannot. They just trashed a Doc Q from their hand, preventing any on-play effects this turn. I'm thinking here we just try to clear their board a bit. I can start with a 5,000 power swing into the Lafitte. They're going to have to let that go. I want to get this Van Augur off the field and the Shiryu too. I'm probably just going to play out a limb and a Nell this turn. Nothing too crazy, of course. 9,000 now, starting off with our Sakazuki into their Shiryu. They'd have to give us 2 cards out of hand, and I imagine they do not want to do that. So we'll see if they give it to us. Hopefully they do, and they do. That's great news. We're going to swing into the Van Augur. I think it does feel bad since that Van Augur will allow them to draw an extra card, but it is what it is. 8,000 into 6,000. They let it die and get to draw a card off that ability. Now we'll play out the Lin, and then we'll cheat out a 5-cost Enel. Again, we can't use that Enel's draw 3 trash 2. Very unfortunate, but it is what it is. We're just trying to go as wide as possible. Even if they do drop the 10-drop Blackbeard here, we're still going to be in a decent spot just because we have so many bodies that we can swing into them with. It's going to be hard for them to deal with them all. Unfortunately, though, we don't really have any plans yet for next turn in terms of other bodies we can play out. We'll see if they try to just clear board or go for life here at all. They're going to use stage to get another OP10 Shiryu, play it down using his ability. They'll be able to pop our 3-cost limb. Not bad, not bad. They still have 6 Don to work with. They will not be able to use that OP10 Liberation because we do have only 1 more character than them. They're going to play down the Stronger, a 1-cost character that can minus the cost of one of our characters by 2. They'll probably combo that with the Daki Q. They'll need some additional cost minusing if they want to use the Daki Q though. It looks like they won't use the Doc Q. They've got the 4-cost Black Hole from OP09. They'll be able to remove my Sakazuki since they gave it -2 with the Stronger. Not bad, not bad. Now they're going to swing 6,000 with their leader into our life. I am thinking about taking this just to find something to play next turn, hopefully, but I do decide to maybe not be so greedy and counter out of that. I want to play a little bit more conservatively. They're going to use leader ability again, which, hey, fair enough, but at the same time, they've only got 1 card in hand now, and we know what it is. It's a 10-drop Blackbeard. At least I'm pretty sure it's a 10-drop Blackbeard. I don't recall exactly, so I'm just going to throw 1 down on my Doflamingo, swing 7,000 into their life. They'll have to take this. Then we're going to swing another 7,000 with a Nell into their life. Even if they don't take this, they'll have to give us both cards, so that's pretty good as well. They will take that. Now they're down to 1 life, and I am just going to swing maybe 7,000 with our leader and then play out the 6-cost Sakazuki. There is a temptation to just swing really big with our leader and put them at 0, but I think just getting out that Sakazuki is going to be really important. I think it's just going to be a numbers game this next turn, and I don't think there's any way we really lose. They are going to use stage, do a cycle, trash that 4-cost black hole to find something, but I don't think even a 10-cost Blackbeard would help them now. Not really sure what would help them now. Let me know in the comments down below. Maybe a bunch of Vasco shots. If they play out maybe 3 or 4 Vasco shots, that would make things awkward. They don't see themselves surviving next turn though, so that's going to be game. GG's. On to the next one. We've got a matchup against Red Hair Shanks. I think this is going to be one of Lim's harder matchups, just because the longer this game goes on, they're going to be able to start spamming bigger bodies like Rayleigh and 10-cost Shanks, and I do not have a single answer for those cards. We do have the 1-cost Lim to play on our turn 1, which is great news. On the odd curve, we're actually not going to be able to put a lot of pressure on them just because we're going to be swinging 5,000 and then cheating out bodies. We're going to start by swinging 5,000 with our leader into their life. Nothing too crazy here. They're going to use leader ability. Even if they had the Gum Gum Red Hawk, it wouldn't have been able to KO our 1-cost Lim just because the Lim could rest itself. Now, it actually could if I swung with the Lim to get maybe a Nell's ability, so that was a little bit risky, and I decided not to play out the Enel. I decided to play out the Edward Newgate instead. I had to decide which effect would be better, Edward Newgate or Enel, and I think the card advantage that Enel gives you is better, at least in the current moment. It'll help me maybe find another Newgate, and that could become very helpful. So I decided not to swing with my 1-cost Lim and cheat out the 5-cost Newgate. I'm able to restand the 5-cost Newgate, which is great. They're just going to throw all their down on their leader, swing 9,000 into us. We take that. Honestly, there's an argument for them to swing 7,000 with their leader, just because that leaves 2 down up and makes me afraid of the Gum Gum Red Hawk. 6,000 now with Edward Newgate, and they actually will take that. That is good news. We're going to have to slowly whittle down their life. I guess we're all right with whittling down their hand as well. We're going to cheat out the 5-cost Enel, drawing 3, trashing 2. The Smile Fruit and the Sabo are easy choices, I guess. The Sabo would be nice, but we already have one in our hand, and I don't know if I really want to trash anything else. Now we'll swing 7,000 with our leader. It's a bummer we don't have another 3-cost character to play, like a 3-cost Lim Searcher. I would love to draw some more. 6,000 now. After they use leader ability, they'll probably 2k out of this, I guess. They will not. They'll take that as well. They're really getting a big hand size, which makes sense, but is also a little bit risky. Maybe. I don't know. We are going to play down another 1-cost Lim that lets us stand up another one of our characters. So now we've got 2 5-cost 6,000 power bodies standing as active. We've got the 1-cost Lim. We've got the other Lim rested, so that is an easy target for them. They're only at 6 Don right now. A Rayleigh would be strong, but they're only at 6 Don, folks. Can't cheat it out. For 1 Don, they'll play out the Uta Searcher from OP09. I think a 5-cost Yasab might be their best bet at this point, or maybe the 5-cost Starter Deck 21 Rush Luffy if they're running that package. They are going to draw the Lucky Roo blocker. That's going to be really strong in this matchup as well. When Lucky Roo gets KO'd, they're able to KO one of my characters with a power of 6,000 or less, which is most of my characters. They're going to give their extra Don to their leader. Swing 6,000. Is it going to be into my leader or the rested Lim? It's going to be into my leader. It's tempting to 2k out of this, and so I think I might, just because they're going to be able to play some really big bodies, and those big swings are going to be much harder to get out of. They're going to pass it back to us. 9 Don for us to work with. We are in a decent spot. I'm just trying to think what's the best way to order what we're going to do right here. We're going to start off with a 6,000 power swing from our Edward Newgate. They can use leader ability, bring it down to 5,000, and then probably trash a card as counter. If they take this, that will certainly surprise me. They will give us the 2k actually. They shouldn't have used leader ability there then. 6,000 with our Enel into their life. The question is, will they counter out of this? They'll take that. I am really surprised by them taking these hits, or just the way they're kind of countering and protecting their life. They've got a huge hand size at this point, which is going to make things awkward later on when I try to go for game. 5,000 now with a Lim. Will they block this and KO one of my rested bodies? They will not. They'll give the 1k Ben Beckman. I wonder if they just got that off of life. Now, I am going to order this turn wrong. I think here I should have played out the 6-cost Sakazuki just to pop that Lucky Roo and get it out of the way. The way I'm ordering this now, I'm going to have to play over one of my rested 5-cost bodies unless I want to play over one of my 1-cost Lims. And if I do that, to play out the Sakazuki and then KO the Lucky Roo, they're going to be able to KO one of my rested 5-cost bodies. And yeah, just you'll see what I mean. Hopefully, maybe not. Maybe I'm not explaining myself clearly enough. We'll do a draw 3 trash 2 with the Enel. Then we're going to play out the Sakazuki. When I realized that the Lucky Brew was just going to KO one of my Enels, which I really don't want it to do, I end up actually KOing the Uta. There's not really a point in KOing the Uta. There's no way they'd throw Dawn on it and swing into us, but I didn't really want to get rid of the Lucky Brew. That's kind of my bad for ordering that incorrectly. I should have played out Sakazuki first. Use the Sakazuki ability to KO the Lucky Roo. The Lucky Roo would have KO'd maybe my Whitebeard or my other Enel, which would not have been an issue because then I just would have played the other Enel down. There would have been room for it. I ended up KOing my own Whitebeard, so silly me. F in the chat, common Johnny TCG misplay. Boo, tomato, tomato. For 4 Dawn, they'll play down the Lucky Roo. I think a Silver's Rayleigh play would have been amazing there, but I'm assuming they probably didn't have it. A Lucky Roo is, of course, good too, though. With both of those Lucky Roos, they'll be able to KO 2 of my characters. We do have that Usohachi that we could potentially use next turn. Resting their Lucky Roos, that could be funny. Then for 3 Dawn, they'll play down the 3-cost Sanji from OP10, and then they won't even swing into our life. That might have been a misplay or swing into one of my characters, but I think at this point in the game, it doesn't really matter. We're going to start off with a 6,000 power swing with our Enel. They want to block with their Lucky Roos. It is what it is. You know, we've got some other characters that we can play out to replace them, so I'm not really too stressed about that. They're not going to block with the Lucky Roo. They're just going to give a 2k counter Otama. Now I'm thinking about who do I swing with next. I'm going to swing 7,000 with my other Enel. I wouldn't be surprised if they use a Lucky Roo here. And they will block with 1. They are going to KO one of my Enels, RIP. Now, I do misunderstand this Edward Newgate effect in the moment, but it's no big deal, actually. I rest the Lucky Roo, and I try to pop the Sanji, but alas, I cannot. That's not really a big deal at all, though. I'm just happy to rest that Lucky Roo. I can swing 6,000 into their life here with our leader Lim. Then I'll swing 7,000 with Sakazuki, and then I'll play down the Dracule Mihawk to set our Enel back up as active. They'll leader ability Lim, then give 1,000 counter with Yasab. Now we can swing with Sakazuki, but I'm actually going to swing into the Lucky Roo. Let me know in the comments if this is big brain or little brained. I'm swinging into the Lucky Roo just because I also want to make room for my Dracule Mihawk. I'm hoping they KO the Newgate. That would be best case scenario for us. If they KO the Enel, though, that's not really a big deal. We can also play down the Sabo. I think we could do that and be just fine for next turn because the Sabo will help us draw a card. They KO the Edward Newgate, which was perfect for us. The Mihawk lets us restand the Enel. We swing 7,000 into their life, and they do take that. I wonder if they're bricked up. So far, they've been taking a lot of swings that I would not expect. We're going to be able to restand our Sakazuki and our Enel with our 2 limbs. Having those 2 limbs stay on the board early is just going to make your life so much easier. They are at 10 Dawn now. We could see a 10-cost Shanks. That would be a really strong play. I really do think that the 8-cost Rayleigh would go crazy in this matchup. If they drop the 8-cost Rayleigh, I'm in trouble for next turn. They'll probably be able to clear my board or at least do a really good job of lowering their power and making it harder for me to go for game next turn. No Rayleigh. They do have the Monkey D. Dragon, though. 8 cost, they're going to be able to throw 2 Dawn on either their leader or one of their characters. They'll give the 2 Dawn to their Sanji character. Then they're going to play down the Otama, giving minus 2,000 to the Dracule Mihawk. That is a misplay, I'd say. There's no way I was going to be able to counter out of all those swings, but I don't know. I guess maybe they're just doing their own thing. I think it's a misplay at least. Maybe you think otherwise. They're going to swing with the 8-cost Dragon, and I'm going to take that hit. They can swing with the leader too. They're going to give 1 Dawn to their leader, swing 6,000 into us. No big deal here. We will counter out of this just to be safe, but I do think we have this next turn in the bag, and even if we don't, we do have a couple of 2Ks. It could get a little dicey though, so maybe I should clear this 3-cost Sanji. If I go for game and don't get it, I could be in a little bit of an awkward situation. They're going to have 3 valid swings between leader, Sanji, and Dragon. And then, yeah, who knows what other rush cards they run in this deck. We're going to start off with an 8,000 power swing with our Sakazuki, and then we are debating what to do here. Do we clear the Sanji or do we go for game? 6 cards in hand and no Dawn up. I'm definitely overthinking this, though, and before I do just go for it, they will concede. Only 1k of counter in their hand. I was going to get that dub. That was a rough ending hand for them, though. GG's, tough match. I think that Shanks is usually a harder match for us. Maybe they just kind of drew bad. They did have some Rayleighs at the end, but maybe not soon enough. On to our next game against purple Luffy, we are going to be on the odd curve. We love stealing odd from a purple Luffy player. We have that 1-cost limb that we can cheat out turn 1, or I guess it's not really cheating out, but we get to use her ability and cheat her back to active. Then we'll swing 5,000 with our leader. They will give us a 2k, and then we will play out the 5-cost 6,000 power Sabo, which we can cheat out. We get to ramp. It's nice that we're going to be able to ramp on the same pace as purple Luffy. We are going to take their first 5,000 power swing, and then they're going to play the Magellan, which catches me so off guard. But in a recent tournament, purple Luffy with Magellan did have some success, so we actually have to put that down. We ramped back, which is a bummer. Now we're in a little bit of an awkwardish spot. Not super awkward, but awkward enough for a limb player. We are going to swing with our 0 power limb just to get that as rested. Then I'm debating on how I should order the rest of my turn, considering any potential triggers, but I don't really think they have anything that could really hurt us. We're going to throw 2 down on our leader. I decided just to throw 1 down on our leader and swing 6,000 into their life. I'll use that extra Don to give to Sabo and do a 7,000 power swing. They'll 2k out of my 6,000 power swing. That's cool with us. Then we're going to throw down another Sabo, so if one of them dies, hopefully we can keep one on the board. We'll swing 7,000, draw a card, and then pass it back to them. They're going to take that hit. They are down to 3 life already. We're in a pretty decent spot. They're going to use leader ability to put themselves at 7 Don. You know what that means? There's probably a Luffy Taro coming. Before that, though, they are going to swing 5,000 with their leader into our 0 power limb, which of course we'll let go. 6,000 into our Sabo. We are definitely going to counter out of this. We'll give them the 1k Edward Newgate. That is such an important card in this matchup. I guess in any matchup, really, just having a Sabo that can draw you cards is crazy. Now, I might be a little bit cheeky here and play down the Usohachi just to rest that Sangoro. Like the Sabo, that Sangoro can draw them cards every single turn, and that is crazy value. Before we swing into the Sangoro, though, with any Sabos, we got to use our leader ability and cheat out another body. We want to do that so that we can get the draw cards from Sabo. We're going to trash the Limb Searcher and the Sakazuki. We wanted to keep some counter cards in our hand with the Adios, and then that Top Knot could come in handy as well. Now we're going to swing 6,000 with one of our Sabos, drawing a card. That's the 2k counter Orochi. That's really good. Now we'll swing 6,000 again with another Sabo. They will have to give us another card out of their hand. We draw another Sabo, which I don't think we need, but it is a 1k counter, which is good news. They are gonna counter out of this. They'll give us a 1k, and now 7,000 into this Sangoro. No way they counter out of this, right? Yes, they do counter out of it with a 2k. They go down crazy low in hand size, but that Sangoro will get those cards right back. Can't blame them for countering out of that and keeping it alive. This is probably one of the big moments in the game in hindsight. Just them being able to keep this Sangoro alive is huge. They're going to use leader ability here to draw a life and then play down the 9-cost Linlin. I knew that was going to happen. This is such a good turn for them. They're going to be able to put a Sabo back into my life and then get rid of one of my other Sabos, unless I decide to try to keep it alive, and I think I will. This might cost me all the counter from my hand, so maybe this is questionable. I think it probably is questionable in hindsight, but I am going to keep this Sabo alive because my thoughts is that I'm going to be able to draw more cards with the Sabo and put pressure on them with it. So I want to keep it alive. 5,000 into the Usohachi. Of course, I'm going to let that go. And now I'm going to make another potential misplay. It's definitely a potential misplay. I'm going to swing 6,000 into the Sangoro first with my Enel just to really try to get counter out of hand. And they do give me the 1k Trafalgar Law. Then I'm going to play the Sakazuki to pop it, but I think maybe I should have just swung into life there. They don't have any Dawn up, so now is a great time to get swings into their life without them using a Gum Gum Giant. I'm also thinking about maybe clearing their board a bit, but again, I think I maybe should just be pressuring life a ton. It's going to be awkward this next turn where they're able to swing back into my rested bodies. I'm going to swing 5,000 now with the Limb. Again, I think maybe I should have swung bigger numbers here because playing out a 5-cost Sabo rested isn't really going to do me a lot of good if they just swing right back into it to KO it. So this is a little bit of a lesson learned moment, a good learning experience. We'll swing 7,000 into their leader now. It would be amazing if we drew into the 5-cost Mihawk that we could play out and restand our Sabo to swing again. We really needed to put them at 0 life. This is not great for us. They're going to be able to clear our board. We only have We have two 2Ks in hand, but depending on what they play out, whether it be a Charlotte Linlin or a 7-cost Rush Sanji, they're only actually going to go with the Zoro, so they will be able to search. They do get the Gum Gum Giant. I am still nervous that they try to clear my board, though. They're going to go with another Zoro and draw another Gum Gum Giant. This is bad news for us. It's going to be so hard for us to get around this Gum Gum Giant, or both of these. 6,000 now into our Sabo with their Magellan. I can counter out of this. I can't counter out of all their swings, though. So I'm debating on what the best practice here is. Do I save the Sabo? I think it makes sense for me to. I do have another one, so I don't know if it would necessarily be a terrible idea. I guess I will save it just to force them to continue swinging into it. 8,000 now into the Sabo with their Luffy Taro. I cannot counter out of this, so I'm just going to have to let it go this time. Thinking about it, maybe faking that I do have the counter and I'm debating it, but yeah, I'm going to have to let it go, unfortunately. 2 Don up. They're not going to want to give Don to their leader because they want to keep that up for the Gum Gum Giant. They'll swing 9,000 into our other Sabo with the Charlotte Linlin, then 5,000 into our life. Maybe I should have countered out of that. My logic, though, was that what if we get a Dracule Mihawk and we can use that to restand our Enel? If we find the Dracule Mihawk here, we probably just win the game. I think we are going to misplay this turn a bit. We're going to swing 7,000 with the Sakazuki into their life, knowing that they have a Gum Gum Giant. I don't know if swinging 7,000 is worth it at all. I probably should have just thrown down on him and swung for 9,000. Now I'm probably going to swing again with the Enel. Maybe this turn I throw down the Doflamingo blocker and use Top Knot. I'm not sure if that'll be enough, though. They will use their other Gum Gum Giant, trash a Luffy Taro, get to 9,000. Yeah, let me know in the comments how I should have done this turn, if there was anything I really could do to save myself this turn. We're going to use Top Knot to get rid of 1 Zoro, then we're going to throw 4 Don on our limb and then swing 9,000. This should go into the Magellan, I guess. Just trying to get it off board and deal with as little swings as possible next turn. They're going to be able to clear my board this next turn, though, which if they don't go for game, that clearing of the board will do amazing for them. At this point, I feel like they have more steam than us. We'll see, though. They are down a little bit in Don because they did use 2 Gum Gum Giants last turn, but they've got 4 big swingers, and now make it 5 because they do have that 7-cost Rush Sanji. They're able to rest our Doflamingo blocker, and this just might be GG's for us. Or they're going to swing into our board, clear it, and just kind of make us suffer for longer than necessary. 6,000 into Dofi, I let it go. 7,000 into Enel, I let it go. 8,000 into Sakazuki, I let it go. There's no point in really countering to save them just because they'll be able to KO all of them. Now they're swing 5,000 with leader. I will take that. And yeah, now we finally get the Dracule Mihawk too. 1 life card left for both of us, but there's no way I'm going to be able to kill them. Unfortunately, Lim does not have any rush cards. If she did, maybe this would go a little bit differently. I just concede here because there's nothing I can do. I hit him with the I'm cooked GG, but I don't know if the message sent, so hopefully they don't think I just bailed on them, but it is what it is. Good game. That was a tough one. We got off to a good start, but yeah, I think we should have just pressure life early in the game more than just swinging into that Sangoro. But yeah, let me know if you have any feedback for that game in the comments down below. I would love to hear it. Our next one's going to be against Red Zoro, and this could be a tough matchup. They're able to pressure us with a ton of small bodies, and we're only a 4-life leader at the end of the day. We don't run a ton of blockers, so this will be an interesting one for sure. They're on the odd curve. They're going to start with the Nami Search and draw the EBO1 Chopper. We're going to play down the 1-cost Limb on our even 2-Don turn, and we'll be able to restand it next turn. I think this Edward Newgate is going to be so strong. We're going to have 2 of them actually, so maybe the turn after that we can use it again. I think we're going to get crazy value from that card in this matchup. That might be the key card in this matchup after all, being able to rest one of their characters, being able to KO one of their characters. Zoro pretty much plays all smaller bodies, so this goes perfectly in this matchup. For 3 Don, they're going to play out the 3-cost Chopper blocker, which is amazing for us. They're going to swing 5,000 into our life. It is tempting to counter out of this one, but I think I should just take it. No point in countering out so early, even though it is only a 1k counter, so it is tempting. We'll take the hit. We get the 5-cost Enel, which is another good card to find in this matchup. We'll start by swinging with our 1-cost Limb. This is just to make sure we have a rested card to use Edward Newgate's ability. Now I'm going to give 1 Don to our leader, but we should play out the Edward Newgate first so that we can KO that Chopper. We are going to KO the Chopper, then we can swing 6,000 with our leader. We'll see if they want to give us a 2k counter. I'd imagine they'd take this just to not use counter so early, but we'll see. They will take it, and then we will just pass it right back to them. Using the 1-cost limb, we'll stand her up instead of the 5-cost Edward Newgate. I think we'd rather have the limb stand up so we can keep using their ability. And then the Newgate is a 6,000 power body, so they're going to have to invest Don into their leader and characters if they want to clear it. So I think we're all right to leave the Newgate rested. They're going to give 1 Don to their leader, play down the Kidding Killer, swing 6,000 into our leader. I think they might just ignore our board here. We are going to counter out a little bit of these early swings. Now that I know that they play Kidding Killer, we don't necessarily want to go down to 2 life because it'll give that Kidding Killer a boost. We're going to trash the Sabo to keep this Edward Newgate alive, and then they'll pass it back to us. Unfortunately, we are at 7 Don, but we're not going to be able to cheat out 2 decent sized characters this turn. We're going to start off with a 6,000 power swing with our Edward Newgate into their Kidding Killer. I think we'll do an L play here. That makes the most sense to me. We'll just throw a bunch of Don on our leader, or maybe we play out an L first, cycle our hand. Maybe we find like a 3-cost limb that we could also play out. That would be very nice. 6,000 into 5,000. They will do 2 1Ks. 2 1Ks is huge for us. Getting 2 cards out of hand and the knowledge that they probably don't have any 2Ks is very important for us. We're going to play down the Enel using leader ability, so it's only 3 Don. We have to trash 2 cards. I'm leaning towards trashing the Enel and the limb. I might want to keep the limb just because it would be a good search. As we said before, the Edward Newgate is so good in this matchup, but I think we're in a pretty commanding position, so I don't know if we necessarily need it. The fact that they gave me 2 1Ks makes me more confident that they won't be able to counter out of this 6,000 power swing with our leader. They don't, which is huge. If they kept that Kidding Killer on the board, that would have been a nuisance. We'll play down the limb, get the Dracule Mihawk. We can use this to push for game later. We're going to be able to restand our 3-cost limb, restand our 5-cost Newgate, and pass it back to them. We are in an amazing spot right now. Look at that hand. 4 2K counters and a 1K counter. The 1K counter being the amazing 5-cost 6,000 power Dracule Mihawk. They're going to start for 3 Don, the OPO8 Tony Chopper. This lets them look at the top of their deck for a animal type character. They are not going to find anything, which is pretty crazy. Not going to be able to cheat anything out. I know that's got to feel bad for them. They're going to follow it up with another Tony Chopper and be able to cheat out that 3-cost EBO1 Chopper out. Nothing too crazy there, folks. I'm going to be able to deal with that. 5,000 swing with their leader, not attaching that 1 Don. I'm assuming they're going to leave that up for an event. Now, I will counter out of that with the 2K counter just to keep our life healthy, and we might as well counter out of it. We're going to start with a swing into that EBO1 Chopper. I think that's the move here. I should have swung with the 5,000 power character first, being a little bit lazy here. Do not be lazy, folks. Do not take after me. I should have swung 5,000 into that EBO1 Chopper. They will have the Shut Up and Come With Us event to cheat out another blocker Chopper, but that's not really a big deal. 5,000 into their life. They will take that. I'm debating on what order to do this. I do need to be a little bit careful. They're going to have a lot of swings into us next turn, but I do have a ton of counters, so I'm not stressing too bad. Maybe I should be stressing a little bit more though. 7,000 now with our leader into their leader. This one's going to hit as well. We can cheat out now the Dracule Mihawk. We're going to be able to play that down, restand our Edward Newgate. We're going to swing 6,000 with the Newgate, and then I'm actually going to be crazy and give 5 Don to my 1-cost limb and just swing really big or relatively big with her. Swinging 5,000 is not considered really big, but yeah, I think it's worth it just to put on more pressure. I'd rather keep all the other cards in my hand just because I will need that counter this upcoming turn. So I'm being a little silly, swing 5,000 with the limb, and I will pass it back to them, restanding a 3-cost limb and a 5-cost Newgate. Basically, unless they win here, I win next turn, unless they have some other shenanigans and crazy plays. They're going to start off by giving 1 Don to their leader, playing down the 3-cost Zoro. I think they're just going to go all out, but we do have a ton of counter in hand. I'm hoping we can survive, and I'm assuming that we will be able to. They're going to divvy up their Don a little bit, which is not something you really want to do. It's helpful for you to think, don't get me wrong, but now as their opponent, I do get to math out all of their attacks and know what their play is, understand that they won't play maybe another 3-cost Rush Zoro, for example. 7,000 now with one of their choppers. They're going to be able to cheat out another Tony Chopper. We're going to be able to survive, so I'm just like, hey, sure, why not take it? And we end up getting the Top Knot trigger. This definitely seals the game for us. We're going to be able to bottom deck one of their characters. I'm going to bottom deck the chopper that allows them to cheat out another body, but I don't think I would have been wrong to bottom deck the blocker chopper or the Zoro. Either way, I'm I think this just seals the game for me. 8,000 now with their Zoro. They're going to have 2 swings left. They'll do 7,000 with their leader. They might not even swing with their blocker chopper just because it's over at this point. They will, but it is in conceit. I'll counter out of that with a 1K, and they'll just concede. GG's. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the games I got for you today. Let me know what you're thinking about this list. I am absolutely loving it. If you made it this far, shout out to you. You are a real one. Do I even have to ask you to subscribe? If you made it this far and you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Now, with that being said, let me know what other leaders you want to see me play in the future. I've got a black Lucci list coming up. I've got a red Zoro list that's coming up, and it is not a Zoro list. Let me tell you, this list is going to be really cool. At least I've been having a lot of fun with it, and I think it's a nice kind of a throwback Zoro list, and yeah, you're going to want to check that out. If you like the content, hit that subscribe button. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.